Beneath the waves, juvenile reef fish are facing a silent crisis at one of their most vulnerable stages of development. As the ocean warms, coral reefs face continual bleaching, leading to large-scale degradation and destruction of vital habitats for many fish. The introduction of microplastics into the marine environment has caused further destruction of habitats and has impacted many animal species on the reefs. And once plastic fragments enter the water, they break into even more tiny particles. These tiny plastic particles can leach harmful chemicals into the water, but are also ingested by sea life. A study conducted by McCormick et al. Investigated how coral reef bleaching and microplastic pollution affected the juvenile ambon damselfish, a small fish hailing from the Indo-Pacific found in the northern Great Barrier Reef. A young damselfish starts off eating phytoplankton, small algae that float in the water. As they grow older, the damselfish like to eat all sorts of things, like zooplankton, which are microscopic animals. As microplastics become more abundant, these juvenile fish are more likely to confuse plastic particles with prey. McCormick et al. Found that both coral reef bleaching and microplastic ingestion increased mortality of the juvenile damselfish. They looked at 4 types of habitats and found that the damselfish in habitats with microplastics strayed far from their corals and were more prone to taking risks and making them more likely to be eaten. They also found that the damselfish living in bleached coral systems also showed more risk-taking behaviors. The damselfish in a habitat of bleached coral and microplastics reached nearly 90% overall mortality. The damselfish in an ideal habitat with healthy coral and no microplastics faced an overall mortality of just 30%. The study also suggested that plastic pollution alone could have a similar, if not more negative impact on the survival of the juvenile fish species. This solidified the knowledge that ocean warming and microplastic pollution are both having disastrous impacts on productive reef systems. It is increasingly important that we continue to understand the impacts that human-induced stresses will have on marine ecosystems, as we may be able to learn more about how these species may interact with changing environments. The researchers have said that their study is likely underestimated the effects of the 2 stresses. The reality could be much, much worse. Global predictions expect that the increase in global warming and plastic consumption will cause a decline in the quality of health of all marine habitats. However, there is hope amidst all this bad news. The continual studies of anthropogenic-caused stresses on coral reefs provide us with insight as to how organisms respond to environmental change. These studies are vital for implementing management strategies that will promote sustainability and help the marine ecosystem in the long run.